This one stock can change early buyers' lives. This is not financial advice, but my research suggests it's a good idea to buy as much as possible before November 26th. The stock is Vista Energy. The ticker is VIST, and the company had $700 million of revenue, beating estimates. This company is also an energy company, and right now, energy is a safe haven given that the market is chopping around ever since Trump and Xi had the rare earth miscommunication in early October. And most recently, NVIDIA earnings, which beat on revenue and beat on earnings per share, sold off, and the whole market sold off significantly. This is the first time that the market has gapped up, and it gapped up on the back of those NVIDIA earnings, over almost 1.5%, and still closed the day red. So it closed below yesterday's close since 2020 and the 2025 tariff bottoms. So in other words, COVID, where we had this massive drop off in March, April of 2020, and again, March, April of 2025, when we had this massive drop on the Trump tariffs, have been the two most volatile times. And today we're having another volatile time with a significant gap up followed by a sell off. So it's very concerning for the market's health in the next 2 months. Over the long term, the market seems healthy and rate cuts are still expected to occur in December or January. Vista Energy, being an energy stock, is a good safe haven. It's also not a massive company like ExxonMobil or Chevron. And there is one other stock in the healthcare sector, a lot of money flowing into healthcare as well as energy right now as a safe haven. And big companies like Eli Lilly are up, Merck is up. The massive pharmaceutical companies are getting inflows. This ticker, symbol NEO, NeoGenomics, is also showing relative strength to the market. So it's holding up even as the market is selling off, and it has 180 million of revenue. So it's an actual company with revenue. It's not a pie in the sky moonshot, which can be dangerous to invest in medical devices, healthcare, biotech, where the companies can go to zero, and they often do. This is a cancer detection company with real revenues. So the main stock, Vista Energy, ticker symbol VIST, looks excellent. It's a very early opportunity. And there's also another option on the table, which is this NeoGenomics, ticker symbol NEO, in the healthcare segment. So if you like these ideas, hit that like button. If you want to take advantage of our $19 Black Friday deal, this is the lowest this has ever been and may ever be again in the future. Head over to stockscommunity.com or hit the first link in the YouTube description to take advantage of that 7-day trial. This is not financial advice, but let's jump into a little breakdown on this first stock that can change early buyers' lives.
This is Sam Putnam. This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
So this is Vista. They are actually an Asian Depository Receipt is the acronym ADR, but they're out of Mexico, based in Mexico City. And they do oil exploration in Latin America. So they also have oil producing assets in Argentina as well as Mexico. And the revenues are significant. So 700 million exceeded the estimate. And in the last year, they've had, again, 700 million in profits. So they are a profitable company, and they're growing. So there are other factors in oil and gas. Crude oil prices are a factor, of course. Supply and demand, OPEC. There are a lot of nuances that a real oil trader would talk about. But right now, we don't have to be a trader necessarily as much as an investor and say, right now, being invested in the market as a whole is scary. There are other sectors to take a look at where money is flowing into. Gold could be one of those safe havens. But oil and gas is definitely a serious sector that has been a safe haven in the past and will continue to be in the future. This company, being based in South America, is a little bit of a different take on those safe havens. But the reason I think it's interesting is if we look at the chart, this is the ticker VIST. It looks pretty excellent. And it recently had this big earnings result, which was a big beat. So it's hard to find a company that looks to be shaping up better than this company. And there's enough liquidity here too, about 1 million shares a day at $50, something like $30 to $50 million a day, where you can put 1/100th of that, maybe a few hundred K to 500K with the click of a button, and the stock is not going to budge. So it's right at that sweet spot of liquid enough where anyone with, say, up to $30 million portfolio could drop 1% or so of their portfolio, maybe a little more, if they know what they're doing, and not worry about it, but not so big that it's very slow moving. So there are slow moving stocks in the energy ETF. This is the energy XLE ETF, which has done well since the tariff lows. It hasn't done incredible. I mean, it's just sort of held in there. But that's sort of what energy is all about. If we look at a weekly chart or even a monthly chart, we can see how well energy did in 2022, even as the market went down. And we can see that on the SPY in 2022 right here. So it's time to get creative. I'm not calling a top or anything like that. I am saying what a lot of people are saying right now, which is that here we were saying the market's up a lot, right? Over the January 2025 highs. September turned out to be a great month. A lot of people were saying there was going to be a slowdown in September, given that there was going to be the rate cut, and the rate cut was expected. And now we've basically chopped for a couple months through October to late November. So it looks like we could chop for another couple months, or possibly revisit some lower levels closer to beginning of September, if not January 2025. So when that happens, we start looking at other opportunities, and XLE is one of those opportunities, this energy ETF. Another one is this healthcare ETF, XLV, which you can see has performed spectacularly even as the market has sold off. Notably, this move up actually occurred prior to the Trump-Xi miscommunication about rare earths on October 10th, which caused the first big drop in the market that we see right here. This is a big drop. It doesn't look like much, but this liquidated millions of people in altcoins and Bitcoin and Ethereum. Today's drop is almost as big as that drop, which is just crazy and shows how big an effect NVIDIA has on the market. NVIDIA having this big move up on this earnings and revenue beat, and then profit taking or sell the news or whatever you want to call it, the stock is down to where it was before earnings, and that made the whole market go down. So that's all the backdrop to why we're talking about XLE and then XLV. I talked about why we're talking about Vista, given that this earnings was solid and this chart is firming up spectacularly, and it moves quickly enough where it's interesting, but not so quickly that it's a completely speculative stock. It has, as I mentioned, 700 million in profit in the year. There's one other stock. I mean, this is a $50 stock. This is definitely a stock to be early on. Neo is a $10 stock. NeoGenomics, this cancer testing company, and this seems to be shaping up spectacularly as well. Notably, the liquidity is a little bit lower. A couple million times 10, maybe $20 million a day, just about. Meaning the most you would put in is maybe 200K in one click of a button. I say one click of a button. You don't have to enter a stock in one click of a button, but it certainly makes things more convenient and less of a headache. So this earnings reaction is good enough. The stock certainly held up despite the market going down, which means this earnings reaction was actually solid. And again, notably, I'm talking about earnings reaction. I'm not talking about earnings because as we saw with NVIDIA and as we saw with Microsoft, earnings can be good and a stock can still sell off. Microsoft's stock actually sold off twice. This is an earnings beat in Q2. And then in Q3, this is another earnings beat where Microsoft sold off, and now it's getting absolutely pummeled. I mean, not compared to a company that follows Bitcoin. You can see Bitcoin now at 85, a company that follows Bitcoin, an example being MicroStrategy. But this is an example where you have to be careful with the difference between earnings beats and earnings reactions. And NVIDIA is giving us a crash course in that as we speak of a poor earnings reaction. So Vista Energy, interesting in the energy sector. NeoGenomics, interesting in the health sector. Almost a penny stock, but I mean that in the most charitable way possible. It moves 5% a day, which means it moves fast enough to be interesting, but it also has enough volume where it actually is worth getting into. And if we look at their revenue, they have real revenue, up 10% year over year, 180 million. This company is in a hot sector. Obviously, cancer testing is always, well, not always, hopefully, but has been in demand for a long time. And they have a lot of different locations all over the world. So they're definitely getting a lot of feedback on their tests. And they reaffirmed guidance, which is a big deal. So it's a solid sign. Of course, any $10 stock, you could expect that they are operating at a loss right now. And we'll see what happens, but they are a $200 million company. This is a little company, which is expected, right? Still, it would be useful to see if you want to hold this company for more than a couple months, which I don't necessarily think it's a good idea to pick an amount of time that you're willing to hold a stock. I think you want to watch the behavior of the stock. But it's definitely notable that they might somehow raise money, which can depress the share price. That's just the fact of the matter when you own these small companies. So we'll see what happens. It's really positive that they're in cancer testing, in that they're unlikely to have some type of patient side effect, which significantly ruins the product and the company's chances of success, and in turn the stock price. And they're also unlikely to have some type of FDA decision which renders their product useless. For example, if they being the FDA, came out and said that this company, NeoGenomics, their clinical data wasn't accurate, or it wasn't conducted on a control group. So it not being a biotech, it not being a medical device, it makes it a little bit more of a safe company to invest in, which is really important when you're looking at companies that are in healthcare, that are in biotech. And sure, anything could happen. It's a 200 million market cap company. But I would rather have this on the menu rather than a company that has some sort of trial data that could result in a move like NTLA or QURE. So those are the stocks: Vista Energy and NeoGenomics. If you like these ideas, hit that like button. If you want a free course on how to buy stocks before they go up, hit that subscribe. I'll post that in the YouTube post section. And if you want to take advantage of our $19 Black Friday deal, head over to stockscommunity.com. You'll see a couple testimonials there. And that deal is available for a limited time. It's the lowest it has ever been and maybe will ever be. As always, this is not financial advice, but I hope it helps.
This is Sam Putnam. This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.